are on. What's going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fine edition of Wormholes Podcast. And you're probably taken a little back here straight away when we've got Peter Griffin on the podcast, but we've got a man who
sweet Lois
who would like to remain anonymous because he's making a bit of a name for himself out there, exploring some of the hidden places of Adelaide, getting underground Hindley Street. We're gonna unpack a little bit more of that further, but the alias Jim, we're going to keep him under tonight, or Peter, or whatever comes to mind.
Jim's good. Jim works.
Jim from Jim's Urbex. Yeah. So
thanks so much for joining us, man.
Yeah, cheers for having me, guys. Good to be here.
Definitely,
so
man.
We said straight off the top, obviously, we both saw you from a video that is on your TikTok, which we'll get to plugging and everything at some point as well. But it seems to be the one that's done the most numbers for you, which was you. Now, you admit, obviously, it's under Hindley Street, so I don't think we're ruining any location information there. You even refer to it as the catacombs, I think.
The catacombs under Hindley Street. The fucking mole people of Hindley Street.
That's some Diablo 3 shit right there.
Yeah, that is fucking
Diablo Adelaide.
Just to set the scene, it's pretty much, walking through a rock blasted tunnel, and I'm looking for the supposed mole people that were genetically mutated from tests at Maralinga, and then I find a dog skeleton.
Yeah. Right. Fucking hell. So you're saying
that's the video, right?
Yeah,
that you guys
correct.
saw?
Yeah. With the dog skeleton at the end. Yep.
So you're saying some of these tunnels were like TNT made, basically.
Yeah, that's right. Rock blasted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
All right. I'm gonna go off I'm not gonna bullshit you guys. That video was complete bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I like to fuck the TikTok algorithm.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. Like, all us Urbex guys, like, we've got a few groups in Adelaide we like to explore. And a lot of the guys got into it because, there was rumors, you've probably heard it, about the, secret tunnels under Adelaide.
Yep.
Like, even ABC has done articles and shit on it. And there are some tunnels under Adelaide. There are, like maintenance tunnels or fucking drains and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Not catacombs with mole people. I made that because I was like, I'm gonna do some creepypasta style videos and see if anybody notices, and I'm gonna make them so ridiculous and see if anybody like calls me out on my bullshit or not.
Yeah.
and then another dude, I think he calls like what does he call himself? I'll get back to that. But yeah, he made a video and he's like, this is the entrance to the mole people of Adelaide tunnel. And because all the fake videos I do, the creepypasta videos, I say the entrance is under the Macca's car park.
Yes, that's the one I saw, man.
Yeah. Go to the lift and then go down to the basement, and you get to these catacombs. And I'm like, fuck, man, this is getting way too out of hand.
Yeah.
And I think he got like over 300,000 views on that video, and everyone was like going to the car park, and like apparently security rocked up, and like cops were rocking up, and turning people away and shit. And then they put the lift out of commission.
Really? So you full shut down. You've made fucking you've made Wilson security fucking work overtime, bro.
Yeah, just from fucking trolling. But
that's funny.
All the footage in those videos are tunnels from South Australia.
Yeah.
It's just not under Hindley Street. And the interesting thing is, because I've always like bought into the thing that like, there's some massive secret tunnel under King William Street. Have you heard that? It's like World War II tunnels. And I've looked like very deeply into like state records and stuff about that. And it's pretty much like, I think where the rumor came from was in the 70s, they were doing drilling ore testing all the way down fucking King William to see if they could put in a light rail track from Parliament House all the way down to Victoria Square.
Right.
And then they found out like the ground was too unstable or something to put a tunnel underneath the city, like it would just collapse or something.
Okay.
Right.
But interestingly, it may still happen in the future because a friend was telling me the other day, like, well, Melbourne has a city loop train tunnel, and lots of people do infiltrations. Well, yeah, infiltrations in there, but I mean, like they did it in the 90s and 2000s and shit, and you can't do it now
Right.
because it's too Fort Knox with security cameras. And actually, somebody found a body in there.
Oh,
wow.
But yeah, they might be building a city loop under Adelaide once they finish with the South Road tunnel, because the UniSA, you know, that UniSA building that they built on North Terrace, and I think it was a Flinders one as well.
Yeah.
The mod building, they're like perfectly shaped so that a city loop tunnel could go there. So yeah, maybe we'll get some tunnels under the city in the future that aren't just stormwater drains.
Well, it's interesting because the part of the reason that we were interested in getting you on the podcast is because we've actually had people bring up stuff about the supposed tunnels under Adelaide on numerous occasions. Yeah. We've had someone who
really
said that, you know, their father, who ended up being killed in mysterious circumstances, was like exposing stuff about pedophiles in South Australia, and that had a lot to do with the underground tunnels. And when we released that episode, we had someone reach out to us
talking about Rachel Vaughan and Bevan Spencer von Einem, I think.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I'm not too sure on the names, but we then had someone reach out and say, my mum had a whole hard drive full of this information, and she's like, we've just moved house, I'm trying to find this hard drive if I ever find it. But like, she heard the podcast, and that was like, you know, my mum's been involved in all of this stuff. So like, that's why we were like, there seems to be something there that people, and then other people that, like, you know, even my mum has mentioned that she's heard that stuff before. So there just seems to be this like massive
tunnels.
Correct.
That's it.
Yeah. So there seems to be a lot.
That's interesting. Rachel Vaughan, actually, I've looked into it a lot. And if you check out my website, I've got jimsurbex.com. I've got an article on the Sleep Hills Tunnel, which is actually another big Urbex location.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But it's like almost impossible to get into, but I did it a few years back.
Yeah, right.
And Rachel Vaughan pretty much says her dad was you know, part of this, you know, satanic pedophile group in the 70s, who was connected to, you know, the disappearance of the Beaumont children. And have you heard of the family murder cases? It was that was Bevan Spencer von Einem, who was convicted for one murder of that news anchor's son, which they found near the reservoir. And Rachel Vaughan said she actually like witnessed that because she was in a tunnel near like a water processing treatment plant near the reservoir when Bevan Spencer von Einem and her dad was murdering the kid. And fucking she says in the train tunnels, you know, she had to watch them like pretty much cook a baby and eat it.
Wow.
Which is fucked.
Yeah.
And you know, take it with a grain of salt, but
of course
her brother backs it up. Like there's a video of her brother giving a statement on the testimony, and her dad's dead, so you know, they can't really convict him or anything. But it's a pretty fucking interesting story. And there's drains under Edwardstown, but I've never found you know, the tunnels. Some people think it's a series of like industrial pits that were filled in, you know, because Edwardstown was an industrial area before it got developed. and also, you know, the Edwardstown Tunnel also feeds into the whole QAnon thing, which is like
Does it really?
very, very conspiracy, you know,
So we've touched on
like Pizzagate's type thing.
We've touched on that a little bit actually about the Q
Yeah.
and the Pizzagate stuff and whatnot. It'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say about how these Edwardstown things or these bits and pieces tie into that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, yeah, I've been hit up by it, and I'm not sure if you've seen Doug, Iron Fist Doug. He's a Cave Clan member who. Have you guys heard about Cave Clan?
No,
before?
no.
It's, I don't know how much I can say about it, but they're kind of like Fight Club. You know, you don't really talk about Cave Clan, but it's a huge group of explorers in Australia that's been urban explorers in Australia that's been around since the 80s. And he pretty much founded it with like Woody and Sloth in the 80s, and they pretty much explore tunnels and shit under cities. You know, there's different branches in Adelaide and Melbourne,
Yeah.
in Western Australia, Sydney, all that stuff. But yeah, Doug founded it, and he always gets people from QAnon hitting him up, and they're like, "Hey, have you witnessed, you know, people like Democrats bringing kids down there and cracking their skulls open and drinking adrenochrome?" And he's like, "Nah, dude, like all my fucking like 30 plus years, I've never seen anything like that in a drain under the city, but hey."
But yeah, that's it. You never know. One of the things we actually did want to ask you in particular was, what's the craziest thing that you've seen so far?
Craziest thing that I've seen. Well, I've come across a lot of like, drugged up people.
Yeah.
I've had fucking like chairs thrown at me once. Once a dude, like I was just exploring this place by myself, and this dude walked up behind me like with his dax around his ankles, and he was like, "Oh, hey man, how's it going?" I don't think he knew. Yeah, he was like, "Yeah, how's it going, mate? You want to hang out and smoke some rock with me?" I'm like, "Nah, dude, I'm just gonna be I'm leaving you alone now."
That's so fried.
Fuck, craziest things I've seen. That is a tough one. Like, I've come across crazy stories and crazy locations, which I've sort of uncovered after exploring the places. Like, I used to have an article on my website, and I took it down because the family got in touch with me and they're like, "Yeah, take it down." But yeah, this fascinated me. It was like a big urban legend in Adelaide. You've probably heard of it, the Witch's House in Port Adelaide.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, the witch's
yeah.
house. Yes.
So yeah, it was yeah, that was abandoned for a while and I got to explore it. But yeah, I dug into the history, and yeah, it was interesting because, pretty much this whole neighborhood would bully her and stuff. And they thought she was literally a witch because she was like super disheveled and stuff. But apparently, like, her husband died in World War II, so she got no help around the house, and she kind of like became unhinged. And then her daughter sort of like took over, like inherited the house when she died, and took over from her. And everyone thought they were the same person, and they like never aged.
Oh, really?
Because she looked exactly the same as her mom. So they were like, "Yeah, the witch lives there." And a lot of people, back in the early 2000s would go there on like car cruises and shit.
I was one of them.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Same, guilty. And there would always be like this car that would show up in the middle of the night and chase people down the street. And some people would say they saw her like standing in the middle of the street, like just waiting for them. Someone else said she like, was just watching him, picked up a rock and started like bashing herself in the head.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, exploring her house was pretty crazy. Because, I don't think she turned out to be a witch, but she had a lot of like she had witch fridge magnets on her fridge, and she had
Oh wow.
a sign that said like the witch security is like watching you or something. And that was actually like a group in the neighborhood who banded together and would chase people away in their cars if they rocked up trying to see the witch.
Really?
So yeah, pretty interesting story, and that was an interesting explore. Unfortunately, it's gone now, but you know, digging into the history was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Also, there's a couple of cult compounds that have got some crazy history in Adelaide.
Okay.
Like some doomsday cult stuff. I don't know if you want me to get into that.
Yeah, get into it, man. That sounds fascinating. So did these cults have like headquarters or were they underground?
So yeah, they had headquarters. There's actually one in Hillcrest that you can still see. I'm happy to say that because it's fully alarmed and there's people in there. But I was able to explore it maybe like back in 2016 or something. But yeah, it was interesting going in there because you know all the cult members' stuff was still in there, like diaries and stuff, and it would be you know, really fucked up shit written in the diaries. But yeah, pretty much the leader of this cult, Rocco Leo, it was called the Agape cult, and he thought that he was obviously the second coming of Jesus Christ, whatever, like the Messiah. And yeah, doomsday is in they thought the world was going to end. So he was pretty much like getting all these followers, cramming them into this cult compound, which interestingly was part of the Hillcrest Hospital, and it was actually like a big Victorian era mental asylum as well. So you can imagine this place had some fucking bad juju.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and pretty much like, you know, the cults started out okay, but then he would, you know, threaten people if they wanted to leave the cult. You know, he had all these fucking like massive, you know, dogs that would, you know, growl at people if they tried to come anywhere near the cult. He would, you know, marry off kids to adults. It was fucked. But what they got done for was they were hoarding all these like guns and ammunition and bombs in bed frames.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
In that actual specific compound.
Wow.
And yeah, they got raided by SAPO. Yeah, Rocco Leo, the cult leader, when that was happening, he actually fled to Indonesia or something, and some of his cult leaders followed him. So yeah, that cult is still, you know, semi-operational, and I think
no shit.
They've still got their website up, Agape, if you want to Google it.
Yeah, I love
So I've just found an article about that now. Actually, the fugitive cultist Rocco Leo will not fight noble devotees. Lawsuit claims responsibility for Barnaby Joyce's affair and other disasters. Oh my goodness!
Fucking
I actually know the guy who wrote that article as well. He used to be married to my like auntie's sister. Oh, Sean Fuster, the lead. He's the chief court reporter for the Advertiser. I've watched
Adelaide, man.
It's so tiny.
A small place. Everybody knows everyone.
Well, whilst we're on the subject of like going, I said just before we started that I wanted to talk about the Julia Farr Centre, because that's one of the first places I ever went to. But I guess when you were saying like the place has got some bad juju, what's your thoughts on, I guess, you know, you're obviously exploring this stuff. What's your thoughts on, you know, paranormal sort of activity or whatever? Like, do you think that, you know, that's all a load of crap and that's why you don't mind doing this stuff? Or do you do it because you think that there is something to that? What's your kind of thoughts and feelings about that before we get into Julia Farr, which a lot of people went to? They called it the haunted. They called it the haunted hospital. What's your thoughts on that kind of stuff?
Like I love paranormal stuff and like, you know, all that esoteric fucking like occult shit, like UFOs and stuff. But I'm skeptical, and you know, I'm like, I haven't seen a ghost, and you know, show me a ghost and I'll believe it.
And if there's anyone that's seen a ghost, it'd be you.
I've had some creepy shit happen to me before, like once I was exploring Bats Palace, which people who may know, it's like a very old nursing home out near Port Adelaide. It's actually fucking still there, surprisingly. Like
Yeah, right.
fucking 20 years going strong. But it's supposedly one of the most haunted abandoned places in Adelaide at the moment. But yeah, some people I know, they did ghost hunting and and they had all their equipment and stuff. And there's a room that's just covered in old like Christmas cards. And apparently
that's
he
already
was like,
creepy.
yeah, he was holding up I don't know, his EMF or something detector, and it was just going wild to this one Christmas card, but around the whole place, he couldn't get any reading. And another guy, he said he was like climbing through a window in that place and he got pulled backwards by an unseen force, like out of the window. Mind you, he told me he was like tripping on acid
Oh, well.
at that point as well. But yeah, when I was in there, there's a creepy basement, and it had a basement door, and I'd pulled it up, fucking propped it up, gone down in there, and when I was coming out, this basement door fucking like slammed on my head by itself.
Oh, true.
Like clocked me like really bad.
Fuck.
And
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, fuck me, man, that's pretty creepy.
Yeah, no doubt, dude.
And another time, a lot of times has been in like abandoned mine shafts. Like I was going with a mate. If you follow him on Instagram, Grimbo, shout out to Grimbo. He's
Shout
a
out,
fucking
Grimbo.
sick drain explorer. I was exploring an abandoned mine. It was like an old talcum powder mine. And yeah, I went in there with him. We were exploring it, and I like came all the way out to the entrance. And I was just taking some pictures outside because there was like some old mine carts and shit. And he was like deep inside the mine, and he came out and he was like, dude, were you in there with your torch off? Because I could hear really heavy breathing like directly over my shoulder. I'm like, no, man, that's fucking creepy.
Yeah, no
But
shit.
and another one, I was with him and another mate who also explores, and we another mine shaft. This was a bit closer to the city, but yeah, we pretty much found this mine shaft. Surprisingly, it actually goes under somebody's house, and then
Yeah, right.
and then we found a drop that was like fucking maybe like 30 meters or something.
Yeah, okay.
So, you've got the claustrophobia, and also if you've got fear of heights, there's this massive fucking hole that just goes further than you can see.
Oh, I think I might have actually seen a video of that. Was there like a plank that someone put across it?
Yeah.
Across it?
Yeah, my other mate walked across the plank.
Yeah.
But we were filming down there, and there's this like, if you watch the video back, you can hear this really high pitched voice like in the background that none of us heard when we were there. But
yeah, right.
like my theory on that is the fact that in these places is really echoey, and the sound plays tricks on you. Like there's some tunnels I've done that are like literally 15 kilometers long, and you're like walking through it, and you hear the echoes of your footsteps coming back like a minute later. It's like fucking bombs going off, and you're like, is this tunnel gonna flood, and am I gonna fucking drown in here? But yeah, it's just the sound playing tricks on you.
So in terms of like the danger factor then, right, when we're talking about something collapsing or flooding or something like that, what are realistically the chances of that happening?
Well, like as I like to say, if it rains, no drains.
Yeah.
Because and that's a big cave clown saying as well. Because heaps of people there's a huge drain in New South Wales called Fortress, and some graffiti artists were actually in there, and it flash flooded, and they all got killed.
Wow.
You know, and they checked the weather before and stuff, and it was clear, but you just don't know, you know, when a fucking massive flood's gonna come through. And that's happened a few times in Melbourne as well. Floods come through.
Yeah.
And yeah, actually, on that topic, when I mentioned podcasts, urban exploring podcasts I've been on before, the Chasing Bandos, probably the most popular Urbex podcast, hosted by Greg Abandon. He's a fucking legend. Check out that podcast if you like what you hear.
Yeah.
But yeah, he recently, I think, like the previous weekend, he fell through 6 stories of floors in an abandoned factory.
Wow.
And he landed on a pile of ash, and he said that's the only thing that saved his life. Like you just can't, you know, you've got to have your head about you and like be wary of these places, but you can't, you know, 100% be sure, you know, that these places are 100% structurally sound.
Yeah. Or what's down there at the end of the day, because you never know, even though you said you haven't stumbled across anything or anyone really down there, you never know that one time that something might be down there you weren't expecting.
Yeah, exactly. And the cops, that's another.
Really? The cops go down there?
Once. No, not in the tunnels, but abandoned places. Funny story. Me and a mate, we went to explore a huge abandoned factory, right? And next minute, all these fucking cops come around the corner, like, well, it was Star Force, like fucking suited up.
Wow.
And they had like dogs, like German shepherds and shit, and they're like, get on the fucking ground, get on the fucking ground. You know, we got full on like on the ground frisked, everything like that. And then later we find out this place is used for Star Force training.
No.
I think we just walked in on a fucking Star Force drill.
And they ended up shit got real.
And they would have been like, hey, there's some fucking target practice in here. Let's
exactly.
Yeah.
That happened a lot at the old Fort Largs in Port Adelaide. Oh no, not Port Adelaide. In
Largs Bay.
Fort Largs. Yeah, Largs Bay, obviously. Yeah. It's getting turned into a housing development now, but
of course it is.
for ages it was super, super fucking red hot with cops, and I think they just used it, you know, for training, because that was the old decommissioned police academy, and the police academy, the new one, was literally like shared a fence line with it. So you walk in there, you set off a fucking like automatic sensor alarm that you can't hear. You'd literally get like 6 cop cars rocking up. Like,
yeah. So with Julia Farr, then, is that still there?
No, they've knocked it down now. My mate
they knocked it down.
But it was there abandoned for a long time.
2009.
Yeah, that was probably abandoned for maybe more than 10 years or something.
Yeah. And so that was one of the first things. We went to that witch's house. There was another one we went into, an abandoned house when I was younger. And I remember we went like, there was like a massive hole in the floor of like the main, I don't remember where this was actually. I just remember the experience, but there was a hole in the floor. You walked through like the back, and there was a hole in the floor that went to a basement. And then in the basement was just a massive meat hook and like just a bunch of chairs. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is like. I think it was the fact that it was like a hole in the floor as opposed to like a door or whatever. Like it was just open. And then it was just a big meat hook from the ceiling above through the hole in the floor to the under bit below. That was one of the creepiest ones. But Julia Farr was wild for a few. I remember the first time we got in there. Luckily, there was like just people had just like tin snipped a lot of the fence, so you could always find a hole to get through. Yeah. But I remember the first thing that like creeped me out was just like an upside down gurney out the front of it. Like That always creeped me out. And then obviously when you're walking through, I remember there was like a downstairs bit that went to like a morgue, and we were like walking down the stairs to just like, and then we just saw all of these like empty bullet casings, like from like
shit.
and so we all just went, I don't want to see it that much. It was just weird because it was like, why is there bullets here? And why have we not seen them? We've walked up and down like most of these halls. But the thing that like gave me the eeriest feeling, and I don't think again it was necessarily anything supernatural, but just like the most like was like they had like a theater stage or something. So they must have done like, I don't know, performances or whatever. And you've just got the like these half open curtains. It's a dark hospital. It's only the light from outside coming through, and you're staring at this stage. And I don't know, I just got the creepiest like feeling, like maybe even just
there
about
at night.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was like,
that was creepy vibes at that.
So creepy. And like every window's smashed. Like obviously, I think it would have been creepier. This is what I always said when we used to go. It wasn't as creepy because we knew 1,000 people had been there. Like, do you know what I mean? Like thousands of people had been there. At this point, every inch of it. Every inch of it was like, I'm like, so if it was so haunted or whatever, it wouldn't have been, you wouldn't have gone there so much. But there was still definitely something very eerie about it. But then cops have rocked up because we were in there for a while and we were, making a fair bit of noise. And so then on the right-hand side, staring at it from the front, there's that big staircase that like goes, the external staircase that goes down. And then so like, the cops have pulled up to the front and we're like, fuck it, let's go like out the back. And so there's like, I think there was like maybe 3 girls, 4 guys, something like that. I remember we had 2 carloads worth of people, and I'm not the fastest runner in the world, right? So, but I'm staying in front of a couple of the girls. But like the 3 other like, athletic guys have like gone over the barbed wire fence without any sort of effort whatsoever. 2 of the girls have managed to beat me over. I've gotten over and then like started running to try and catch up with everyone else, thinking, fuck it, this last girl's got it. But then I hear a noise of her like struggling, and I turn around and her like trackies, her classic like Adidas 3-stripe baggy trackies, because the year's like 2006, have been caught in the barbed wire, and she's now hanging upside down like, and like I can see the cops coming like through the other side, and I'm like, I gotta rescue this bitch. Her boyfriend's like fucking 500 meters away. And so I've gone and like got her off the barbed wire, and there's like a little, like 2 streets away, there's like a park and a playground, like a pretty classic little park. But we were like trying to avoid the cops, so we all go and like hide behind like a tree in the park. There was no street lights or anything in the park, so it was very dark in there. And you've all got adrenaline like running, like coursing through your veins, because you've just like been in the creepy hospital. You've now evaded police. But like the entrance to the park had like one of those housing trust houses, like chain link fence, like gates, the old gates. And like, so it's completely dark. We're in this park, and the chain link fence is just going.
You're really setting the tone for
it. Shit. And then we were just like, you know what? I'll take the cops. This is too fucking creepy. I'll go. So we like started heading back to the cars. I think the cops just ended up leaving, but like it was funny how like in that moment we were like, you know what? I'll take the street lights and the cops over whatever the fuck's happening in this park right now.
Yeah. All the ghosts from Julia Farr have gone for a swing on the fucking place.
Bro, it was just weird because I remember feeling still, and it was probably a bit weird, but it was just like it felt so still, so quiet, and this gate's just like doing the biggest creak of all time, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out of here.
Yeah. So Jim, tell us what got you initially fascinated with exploring and finding these tunnels and buildings?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, obviously Julia Farr was my first explore. Like we used to explore the fuck out of that, like, in high school days, shit like that.
I think it's just sorry to cut you off there quickly. I think it was so wild for me, and you might be able to expand on this further, because it was massive. When you think of like, there's a lot of abandoned houses. They're everywhere, right? Maybe even abandoned businesses or something, but they're on a small scale. I think what made that so like intriguing and crazy was that it was massive. Like it's that you look at the Mowbray Hospital. I don't know what part of Adelaide you're from, but you look at the Mowbray Hospital and it like sticks out in that scene around it. Like imagine that just being abandoned and covered in graff. Like it would just be it would just add, you know what I mean? Like so much mystique to this building.
Exactly.
And that's what it was. You would drive down, especially you drive down Unley Street, which was like, Unley was starting to become like a, you know, that place was starting to like grow in terms of businesses, and that was really thriving. And then you turn off one of the streets and there's a fucking giant abandoned graffitied hospital. Like it was just,
that was
it just had this
shit.
Cool. Yeah, that's what I thought you were. Yeah, just wanted to kind of say that's what I think it was. The size of it that made it so intriguing.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the urban legends and shit people would tell about it. But you know, we spent heaps of time exploring that, you know, in the teen years. And yeah, pretty much like photography got me into it. I know that there's some urban explorers who were like very well, like urban exploring or Urbex is probably the most fucking like elitist fucking gatekeeping hobby ever.
I bet.
So yeah, some people are like, oh, photographers fucking suck, or like, you know, the photographers hate on people who make, you know, videos and TikTok and shit. I originally got into it for the photography. So I picked up, you know, a camera, DSLR, and sort of got into it from there, I guess. Just
cool.
Seeking out these places, abandoned houses, and then it just grew from there. Like, and it kind of became an obsession, like trying to find these places, and that's half the fun as well. Like a lot of like new people coming into the scene, they're like, oh, can you give me spots? And I usually give them like a starter spot to, you know, get their feet wet and get into it a little bit. But I mean, half the fun is like researching and like going to the place and discovering for yourself that it's abandoned. So
where do you go for research then? So let's say if you were looking for a place in Darwin, right? Where would you how would you even start?
I don't want to give that too much away, but what I'd say is like look at hashtags of people, like what other Instagram people are posting in the community. Look for clues. You know, like I've found a lot of places from just looking at people's photos, and like, you know, you can see out the window and there's a fucking street sign or something. And you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, right.
Another one. This is a Wormholes Podcast exclusive.
Oh, drop it, baby.
Have you heard of the app? What's it called? Google Lens.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that. Actually. Yeah.
It's like a AI analyzes images and like matches up. So you just take someone else's image, drop it in there, and AI analyze, and it'll tell you the location,
tell you where you are.
Yeah.
Also, Wormholes exclusive.
Another non-hacky way, I like to look through like, you know, government data, like for tunnels and stuff. I like to look through government databases and stuff. Like all this stuff has to be logged at some point, you know, whether it's in planning stage or, you know, take drains, for example. I mean, SA Water has to plan it, whatever. And our state government does have this stuff available online. You know, you just search keywords, trawl through PDFs, heritage listings, stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of heritage places that people like, you know, they buy the land, they can't, you know, afford to maintain this, you know, really old crumbling house, so they just leave it there. And then, you know, people call it demolition by neglect. So it's sort of just, they leave it maybe for 20 years or so. You know, an arsonist goes in there and fucking burns the place down, and then, you know, they get to demolish it, and it overrides the heritage listing. So, and a good example of that is there was a heritage listed big house on Marion Road, like just after the Coles and the OTR. And that thing's been around since the 1800s. And like My filter came off there. Oh,
it wasn't actually on you. The screen was on Justin when it came off. Then so
Oh, good.
yeah.
And Peter Griffin's gone walkabouts. But yeah, they pretty much have had that abandoned for maybe like 10 years or something. And yeah, we explored it when it was abandoned, and it was really cool. Like, had an amazing skylight and stuff.
Yeah, right.
But you know, arsonists got in there and burnt the absolute fuck out of it. So now, you know, the developer can be like, oh, it's a write-off, you know, override the heritage listing, demolish it. So
yeah,
there's a lot of heritage places like that
are just left like that. Yeah.
You mentioned before about the elitist stuff. How do they feel about your piss take videos? Like, obviously, I know there's a lot of people that do it, and you referred to them like as a type of video. But for the ones that are like out here, just like, no, I'm really trying to break real stories, and I knew the Hindley Street one because again, that one was I was a little bit on the fence with. I knew the what do you call it, mole people was
bullshit.
It's a pretty good looking newspaper you put there.
But
thanks, man.
The tunnels underneath. Obviously, I'd heard so many stories, so I thought maybe you actually had found a tunnel, but then you were adding the bullshit to it to kind of like, you know, see what part of it people would believe. Yeah. But then I saw your Bunyip video, and obviously I knew that was just an absolute piss take. But one thing, and I'm assuming this one was a joke as well, but I was actually interested in the house that it was. Again, not looking for location, but just more the story. The one that you said, Adelaide's Joseph Fritzl, that was pretty crazy from the video.
That place is legit.
Yeah.
And it's been restored, and there's people there, so I can talk about it. I've got an article about it on my website.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is pretty much okay. So it's not Joseph Fritzl, but it's
of course.
It's a guy called Kim Benathan. He built he was actually a fighter pilot in World War II, and he bought this house in the Bugle Ranges, and he was super paranoid in the 80s about, you know, the Cold War and shit.
Yeah.
And he actually built this massive nuclear bunker underneath his house. And you know, the house he built it under is from the 1800s and it's heritage listed. So I don't know how the fuck he because he couldn't, you know, bring all the concrete in and then build the house on top. It's like, fucking, he had to put it under the house. But literally, that thing, man, if you go on my website, I 3D LiDAR scanned it, and you can see the floor plan, and you can see how big it is. It's probably fucking bigger than my house. It's like the actual bunker, and the doors are fucking like maybe that thick steel, reinforced. And he got them imported from Germany or something. But yeah, this guy was totally loaded. He actually owns that castle. He owned that castle because I'm pretty sure he's dead now. Up on Mount Lofty, the one just before you go up to the summit.
Yeah, okay.
And that actually got burnt out in the it was Ash Wednesday bushfires in the 80s. But yeah. But yeah, anyway, this guy totally loaded, built this underneath his mansion. It had a fully self-sustaining, you know, like water system, you know, recycled air, stuff like that. So you, and the way to get to it was obviously, as you'd see in the video, total bug out. So you'd walk through the house, you'd lift the carpet. There's a hatch under the carpet.
Yeah.
You have to climb down 2 sets of ladders in full reinforced concrete, open a hatch, go through, open another hatch, and then you're in this massive fucking nuclear bunker under this dude's house.
So crazy, man. I thought that was a place like a murderer's, where like a murderer.
Yeah. And a lot of people was also saying it looked like, you know, where the people would, you know, grow weed. It was like a fucking Breaking Bad type situation, like under the laundromat. But yeah, and funny about that, I actually, before I knew it was abandoned, I went and I spoke to the neighbors. and they knew a lot about it. And funny story, they were like pretty old, maybe like in their 70s or 80s. And she's like, oh, it's abandoned. You can just climb through the window if you want to have a look. I'm like,
Oh, so she full gave away.
Yeah, and she's like, because I kind of knew that this was the place with the nuclear bunker under the house.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, you can there's a secret hatch and you can just climb down into this nuclear bunker. I'm like, so you telling me you climbed down there? And she's like, yeah, I've done it a couple of times.
Wow.
So yeah, but she when I explored it, it was owned by a guy who was like, I don't know, this dodgy real estate guy.
Right.
And they said when he moved in, he was organized, he was, with bikies and shit. They'd have these massive party, like fucking coked out parties with, they'd have like strippers dancing on the roof and shit.
Yeah, no
This
shit.
massive mansion. So yeah, I'd imagine some dodgy shit happened there. And he ended up in jail, which is why it was abandoned and I was able to explore it. And fun fact, it is an Airbnb now. So
really?
Wow.
for people listening to this, if you want to explore it, book that shit.
Wait, so it's an Airbnb and then you can also like just open that bit and go down?
Yeah, if you know about it, check it out.
Have they done up anything with the down, like where underground bit, or it's still just all?
I don't know, man. I haven't been there.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's something you need to do is book the Airbnb and then do a follow-up video and be like, hey, look at it now. Those two toilets, they're actually fixed up and working. I just did a shit in both.
Exactly. I'd test them out. Yeah. No, the place is cool. And there are actually, surprisingly, a lot of bunkers for like World War II and Cold War. Well, that's the only Cold War bunker, Adelaide, but there was a lot for World War II. Like under houses and under businesses in Adelaide. And I actually had someone contact me recently. I don't know if it's bullshit, but apparently her mum worked in this secret underground bunker making munitions for World War II. So
yeah,
that's the next thing I've got to check out.
Yeah, dude, that'd be cool. I've noticed actually coming up Northeast Road, going up towards Birdwood and stuff like that, there's a few cutouts basically in the side of the mountain, and it's like it's almost like a door, like an arch, and then it's like there's a gate that kind of. Do you know what I'm talking about?
So there's an urban legend to that as well. It's called the Monk Tunnels.
Yeah, right.
And it ties in with the Mad Monks as well. So story goes, there was up Mount Lofty, there was a monastery in the 80s, and that was totally burnt out in the Ash Wednesday fires. And they said like some monks died or something. And everyone would go to the ruins of this place to fucking scare each other and shit.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they said, ghost monks would hang around there. But it was demolished all apart from one building. So
right.
If you go up to Mount Lofty, if you drive up to the summit, you can still see one building from the monastery on the left, just after the towers, which is the gatehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go further into the bush, there's also Arthur's Seat.
I've heard of that before.
Another multi-story ruin. Yeah, check it. I think it's somebody bought it and they're like restoring it or something.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, that's cool. But anyway, the story goes like one of the monks moved to that area. And then, monks are seen going in and out of these tunnels. One is a really fucking dodgy foxhole, which is like probably maybe that big that you've got to crawl down.
Oh, fuck.
And then it opens up to standing height. I haven't done that one yet because it smells too much like piss and I didn't want to go in there. But my mates who have done it, they said it's really creepy. they've been there, over the years, and they said somebody's actually been digging deeper, and it looks like it's been
Really?
dug out by hand. Yeah. And and that other tunnel, that's like a water main tunnel.
Right.
That's also got the myth of the mad monks as well.
Yeah. Okay.
But apparently I was talking to someone, I think the actual mad monk story came from a monk who got relocated from the monastery. And he'd always walk up and down that road, and people would see him at night and think he was this fucking demon monk coming from these tunnels on Gorge Road.
Oh, that actually reminds me about something about Gorge Road. Supposedly, like, I heard stories of people that would go up to this certain spot on Gorge Road at night. I don't know if it was like once a month or a certain time, and they'd go up there and you'd go to this certain spot and there'd be people wearing like cloaks and stuff.
Yeah, that's it. That's the monk.
Is that the monk thing?
Monk stories, yeah.
No shit.
That fades into that as well. Yeah.
Fucking hell, yeah, because someone said that they actually went there and they did it. And they pulled up and there was like 3 or 4 of these cloaked people, and it was over their heads so they couldn't see anything, that were like walking towards their car like out of nowhere.
Yeah, that's right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and there's heaps of places like what's that other place? It's Schneider's Alley or something, which is up Stonyfell way. And the story goes, some mad doctor lived in this mansion nearby, and he would take women from the street and butcher them for organs or something in his mansion.
Jesus.
Yeah, right.
And I think that probably stemmed from a bullshit story like some of the shit I've spun on TikTok.
Yeah.
But yeah, people would go there to try and see, the ghosts of these women. And it got to a point where just fucking locals were calling cops every single night. And now the area is closed at night.
Yeah,
and,
right.
They've got sensors which, will make the cops rock up instantly, pretty much.
True.
Yeah.
No shit. So and what's your take? Sorry, go on.
Oh, and another one in that area is Lisa's house as well, which is still there. It's an abandoned house. The story goes, a bunch of bikies took this girl called Lisa there and, R-worded her to death.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still see her ghost if you go there now. And surprisingly, if you look at the Google Street View, you can see like this white sheet hanging out the window, which is pretty creepy.
Wow.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
I think I'm going to make a TikTok about that.
Yeah, do it, bro. Yeah, fucking oath. I was just going to ask, what's your opinion on, I know this is a little bit like a little bit of a swerve, but what's your opinion on extraterrestrials, right? And about extraterrestrials having deep underground bases?
Well, I 100% think like if there's any paranormal thing that exists, it's got to be aliens or, extraterrestrials. Especially with the shit that's coming out with like, UFOs getting shot down over Canada and shit. And then the government refuses to, release any photos or information about it. And, some of the stuff that Tom DeLonge, brought out to the Stars Academy. That's pretty cool. And I've seen some weird shit myself, like completely stone cold sober. I've seen some weird shit in the sky, and it just makes you think.
Well, we've always
I don't know about underground bases though. I think it's more of a sort of transcending reality type shit. Whether they're on a different wave form to us, you never know.
Yeah, I have done a little bit of research into not necessarily Australian ones, but there are a few American ones. One I can think of off the top of my head that is like a certified deep underground base is called Dulce. Yeah, I think it's in Dulce, New Mexico.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I've heard about that.
I've heard a fair bit about that. I guess like the existence of it is probably not so conspiratorial, but about what goes on in there and about experimentation on human beings and all that kind of stuff. I think that kind of stuff is what would fascinate me the most with these underground kind of bases and stuff like that when we're talking that level of things.
Oh,
is he gone?
There
we go.
There you go. He's back.
Sorry, man. Gonna make you explain Dulce again.
Oh, that's right. No, I was just saying about how it's fascinating, basically, that kind of level of things of what would they actually be doing there? You know, are they experimenting on humans or whatever? That kind of level of thing is what fascinates me.
Yeah, no joke. I would totally believe the US government would be up to some shady shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And especially if they had UFOs and stuff. But yeah, on the other hand, you know, I'm sure they would cover up any tests of experimental aircrafts and stuff. So yeah, I am a skeptic, but you know, that stuff fascinates me. And
well, that's the thing, is a difference between,
I'm always keen to hear the stories and stuff. That the Dulce one is super interesting though. Like,
yeah,
you know, they're saying they covered it up. Like, I think it's on a Native American reservation or something, and they said it was a logging road, and they were bringing all these materials in, like building the base or something, like deep underground. It just didn't add up. So yeah, whether it's UFOs or something else, I believe that they would be up to some shady shit.
Oh,
coming back to what you said before, right? And this is the thing, right? Because we're fairly conspiratorial on this podcast, but I think the grain of salt and skepticism has to remain intact. And like you said, with the whole, you know, people that reach out to the people about the tunnels and be like, "Did you see this, and this thing?" Which like just isn't actually going to be happening. But then we also can't completely discredit the idea that we know that cults exist. You told us about one before. We know that sex cults exist. We know that the pedophilia and all of that shit definitely exists. So like to say that there's not those things happening in dark, you know, unreachable places is not the thing. You know what I mean? It's like you've got to find that middle ground between like going to the most extreme reachy place of all time and being like, oh, if this happens, then that must be all, you know what I mean? Instead of just being like, well, no, there is actually probably these things happening in these kind of places. There's a really interesting one, an Australian woman, Fiona Barnett, sorry, I don't know if you've ever heard of her before, but she has like an incredible story that she's like testified in high court before, and it all got basically thrown out. But like, was it thrown out because they wanted to sweep it under the rug, or was it thrown out because, you know, she actually had nothing to? But she tells a really detailed story of like being flown on like I think it was Richard Nixon's private jet, and all this whole thing to do with like Anthony Kidman, Nicole Kidman's dad, and like, you know, there is actually articles and stuff about it, and you know, she talks about all of these like you know, army base locations and stuff that she got taken to and trafficked between, and you know, has this insane like so much depth. She's drawn pictures, like explained all of this stuff that's never been discredited either, as well as, you know, there's never been arrest for it, but like it was enough that like her life's been completely ruined from telling this story. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, man. You always look at those people and go, she's gained nothing out of telling this. She's talking about the most horrific thing imaginable, and like, and you can hear it in her voice that she just wants this story to be told. You know, they're always the ones that I'm just like, man, it's just some, and you know, you look at the Epstein thing and the island.
Yeah, and that's 100% proven, and
yeah,
I'm sure that's not the only thing out there, you know, like. Well,
I was even listening to a thing the other day where they were saying like they were talking, apparently there was like an article that someone found from like 1980 something or whatever, like was the first time that it got reported on. So if you look at how long they'd been sweeping it under the rug and how much would have been done in 30, 40 years, that's just bananas, man, isn't it?
Well, that's like the whole family murders in Adelaide, the Bevan Spencer von Einem stuff. You know, the some of the people, the high profile people involved in this case, you know, who were doctors, fucking lawyers, stuff like that. they still had suppression orders on them, so the media couldn't talk about them or some shit, like up until recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, which really makes you think. It's like, why would you go to all that trouble?
Yeah.
Correct. And that's the thing is like, if this is this just the one that got found out in a long line of ones that didn't get, do you know what I mean? Like that's the scary stuff, is that when they uncover one and then they try and go, oh, that's all there is to see to it now. Let's just, seal the records and not look any further. And it's like, oh, that makes me want to look even further.
Yeah.
Exactly. And with like Rachel Vaughn stuff, it's like maybe if the Edwardstown tunnels don't exist, I'm sure at least some of her story is true. Like, I'm sure her dad was a piece of shit. I'm sure he was involved with, the people of interest in the Beaumont children case. It's like, yeah. And like it was proven. And, like the dude who still owns these tunnels, he was connected to Bevan Spencer von Einem.
Yeah, right.
Which, is a bit sus.
Full on. Well,
her words.
Yeah,
of course,
that's it. Not your words. Yeah. Well, before we let you go, Jim, we do this thing called the questions, where at the end we like to ask, I guess in your case, a bunch of non-related questions now.
Hit me with it.
Get a bit of an idea of you and who you are. So, do you want to hit him with the first one, J-Man?
Question number one, my man, and I always love this one because especially when we've had just such a fucking intense episode talking about this is just like a complete switch up.
Yeah.
What's your favorite song of all time?
Oh fuck, man.
That's why we love the question.
I love it.
Oh, that is a really good question.
So I'll
reckon.
Oh, he's got it. I was going to just give you a at the moment.
Fuck, I've been going down a power trip hole. I think it's Executioner's Tax by Power Trip.
Okay.
Power Trip. I don't know.
I don't think I've ever even heard of Power Trip.
I've never even heard of them, yeah.
They're like crossover punk thrash metal.
Cool.
Yeah, right.
So
okay.
it's like 80s style. Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah, I've just had that on repeat to the point, my Apple Music is like, all right, chill out.
yeah. Play something else once.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they look pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, the lead singer died from fentanyl overdose. So
true.
That's the most American shit of all time.
I know. Midwest.
Fucking
wow,
hell.
dude.
Fucking hell. Nah, awesome. Well, hey, look, at least you didn't and ah. Normally we say to people, we go, we'll give you 3, because if you can't think of one, we'll let you think of your top 3.
Yeah, I'm very much into like industrial metal as well, like 9 Inch Nails, Skinny Puppy.
Cool.
That kind of shit, Ministry.
Yeah.
So, if it wasn't that, it'd be something from the back catalog. Typo Negative, that sort of stuff. I've got a ridiculously massive record collection that's just completely out of hand.
Oh, so you got vinyl as well, do you, or CD?
Yeah, vinyl.
Sick.
Yeah. I like to see you guys who are into metal. Like, I listened to one of your episodes. I'm like, fuck. Metal intro, nice.
Yeah, fucking hope for it.
Yeah.
It was funny because I recorded one a while back, and then Justin came up one time. We were like, should we just fucking redo the intro? So we sat here and wrote that intro out. We've had the same one ever since, man.
Yeah, just down-tuned it even further, made it heavier. And
that's sick.
Like, and it's kind of weird because
you guys recorded that.
Yeah.
He's a musician, so I'm just a fucking comedian who loves fucking heavy metal. So
yeah, we can. I've actually got a black metal project.
Yeah,
Stranak.
Okay.
Oh, that's
how's that spelled? Let me type that in. How's that spelled?
It is.
Doesn't even know how to spell his own band.
It's a Gaelic word. STRANACH.
Okay, yeah, I definitely would have never got that.
My bandmate named it, not me. So I'm like,
oh yeah, so you got. Is this you here on Bandcamp with the white?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah,
right.
EP.
Yeah, killer.
Check it out. It's kind of like ambient mixed with like lo-fi. What do you call it? Like raw black metal. Okay. Yeah, we're very much influenced by, all that old school first, second wave, like Battery, fucking
Killer.
Celtic Thrust, Mayhem, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, dope. Fucking oath. We'll chuck it out. Chuck it on once we jump off the call, man.
Yeah, sick.
So, question number 2 then is: who is your favorite comedian or comedic actor?
Fuck, comedian. That is a good question. I like. Do you guys listen to the last podcast on the left? I think
I did a few times. Yeah,
Henry Zabrowski is pretty funny.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah, I don't want to get myself cancelled, but fuck, I think Sam Hyde is pretty fucking hilarious. I don't agree with the stuff he thinks, but
I haven't heard any of Sam Hyde's stuff before. What kind of stuff does he do? Obviously
controversial.
Very controversial. It's extremely controversial stuff, but it's like fully wrapped in layers of irony. It's like watch the iDubbbz documentary on him. It's fucking funny. He's just like the world's biggest troll. Like
killer,
fucking 4chan.
Oh, is he full like 4chan kind of guy?
Yeah. He's literally like an insane person.
Yeah, right.
So,
shit.
Check him out.
Fucking oath. All right, J-Man, do you want to hit him with question number 3?
Oh, I don't even remember the order of these anymore.
No, neither do I, bro.
We know the first 2. We know the last one. Everything in the middle is just a fucking dog's breakfast. But what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, that is a good question. Fuck.
Go to the tunnels. That was the best.
It's don't explore when it's raining or whatever.
What was that?
Yeah. When it rains,
don't drain.
No drains.
No drains. Yeah.
Check the fucking weather forecast because you will die if you're down there and there's a flash flood.
Yeah.
Have you ever, a quick side note, just on that question, have you ever, you've had the cops thing or whatever, have you ever actually like fallen down yourself or had like an injury or accident? That was one thing I was going to ask before.
Yes. Yeah. I fucked my leg hardcore. We were trying to find this drain. We had some conflicting information about it, and we found this grill, and it had leaf litter, like, going into it. So they had widened it a bit. So it was like a bit bigger than your normal grill. And my leg, my fucking, if you watch this far, you can see my face. But yeah, my leg went through it. I like fell in it, and then all my weight fucking went back and fucking snapped my leg back. So I was jammed in this grill, fucking cheese grated my leg, and then apparently the doctors or the ultrasound dude said it like scraped all the fat from my thigh up to my knee, and then it like died. So I've got just this massive lump around my knee, but
true.
Yeah, a lot better than some of my mates' injuries. Like some of them have fucking, ended up in ICU from their exploring injuries, like falling off roofs and shit. Like it has been, there's been some pretty hectic injuries. So I consider myself lucky.
Yeah, especially considering how much you've done.
Might just get the long-term, asbestos exposure.
Some
of these places, it's like you're breathing in a lot of shit.
I was going to say, is there surely there'd be some of these tunnels or these bits and pieces that have gases or something crazy going on like that.
Yeah. Funny story, there's a video on my YouTube at this place, but there was a tunnel I was exploring, and a couple of years ago, the walls just turned into like this like crystalline it kind of looked like I figured out it was like pure asbestos, right?
True.
Coming out because sometimes it can naturally come out of the walls. Like if you look at Wittenoom, that's a asbestos mining community in WA where literally everyone has died of cancer because they all mined asbestos and they didn't have any protection. And there's a Vice documentary, I think, where a dude goes there and he's fully in the sperm suit with the like over the head respirator, and he's interviewing the last guy living there, and he's just sitting there in his singlet and VB, and he's like, "Nah, I don't care if I die, mate. I've lived here for like 40 years. It
No
hasn't got
shit.
me yet."
What a
And there's
fucking
just like
veteran.
tumbleweeds of pure asbestos.
Wow, dude.
Dude, fuck
But
that.
yeah, it turned out to not be asbestos. It was another kind of crystalline crystal that grew on the wall. I figured it's out by like pouring water on it, and if it dissolves, it's not asbestos. If it stays there, it's asbestos. It's not
okay.
water soluble. So yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I had fucking fucked my lungs up for a long time, but
Yeah.
luckily not, because you can see the fibers floating around in the air.
Yeah, fucking yeah. Asbestos is crazy, man. It's got that when it's in gyprock or whatever, you can see that bluey tint to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to be fucking around with that. And a lot of like construction sites and stuff, that people have hit me up and they're like, "Oh, mate, that's a site I work at. I hope you wore protection." And sometimes, yeah, if I can suss out asbestos, I do wear the like, the what do they call it, P1
Yeah.
full on respirators, and some of them.
Yeah.
In there was this bank that I did in King William Street, and there was literally just piles of asbestos everywhere. But I wanted to see this fucking sick paint fault in the tunnels underneath there. But yeah, I wore the full sperm suit with the respirator and stuff, and there was
Oh
just
shit.
piles of asbestos that they'd been ripping out.
Yeah.
You're like, I hope this bloody suit works.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
fucking hell,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Especially in an underground tunnel, bro. Fuck, it's not going nowhere but your lungs
Yeah,
at that
that's
point.
right. Yeah.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
So we're hitting with the second to last question. What 3 things are you grateful for today?
Grateful. I'm grateful for tunnels.
Yeah.
Mole people.
More people,
Mole
baby.
people. And stickers. Stickers. Look at this. I'm fucking beast.
Oh,
with
you've
the
got Jim's Urbex
stickers.
stickers as well, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sticking them everywhere.
Fantastic. That's killer.
Do you have like a
Yeah,
QR
let's-
code or something on them for people to find
No,
your
I've
page?
got my website.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's sneaky eggshells, so you can't remove them.
Oh, really?
Oh wow, that's cool. Well,
Yeah.
you should get a QR code on them, and then when people
Yeah,
find them,
yeah,
they can go to your website.
Yeah. I had a look at your website. Those LiDAR, 3D LiDAR scans are fascinating, bro.
Oh, cheers, man. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool. I just do them with my iPad, but yeah, because the new iPad Pros have got like a LiDAR scanner on them, so you can
That's wild,
3D
dude.
scan shit. I need to do some more of those.
Yeah.
I got hit up by a guy with a professional, like $100,000 plus LiDAR scanner. He's like, "Yeah, I'll come with you into some tunnels and map them out." So
That'd be fucking cool.
I'll
man.
hit him up to do some like caves or some shit, because I want to,
Yeah.
caves, fucking like drains, stuff like that would be sick to have just like a fully accurate 3D map.
Yeah, man. Yeah, something with like a bit of high definition texture and whatnot, and you can kind of basically, put your way yourself through it through your phone. It'd be
Yeah, exactly, man.
that'd be killer. That'd be killer. All right, J-Man, hit him with the final question, and then we'll let you go, Jim.
The all important one, mate. Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses, and why?
Holy shit. Fuck, man.
Yeah, we asked tough
That is
questions
an
on
existential
wormholes.
question.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Horse-sized duck.
Or
Well-
100 duck-sized horses.
Ducks can be aggressive.
Thank you.
Sometimes. So I'd probably go for the nice horse, even though horses can be fucking creepy. I
Yeah.
watched that movie Nope the other day, and there was pretty fucking creepy horses in that.
Imagine
Oh.
imagine 100 of those though.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll take the duck-sized horses, because you
Yeah?
can just stomp them.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair
Thank you.
enough.
It's about time I got one
Yeah.
back. We're split down the middle, and like just comes in waves of the answers. And like I was getting heaps of people stomping the horses for quite some time,
really?
and then recently everyone's been going, no, I'll just take the one duck and blah blah blah.
Duck.
I'll befriend it. I'll
Yeah.
ride it around town. All these other things,
Feed it
and
some
then.
bread.
That's
Then
it.
no one's been back stomping the horses for a while, so it's nice to get back one in my column.
Sick.
I'd love when we're big
There
enough
you
to
go.
like hire a fucking nerdy producer from Lithuania. I'm
To
gonna
go
make him go
through,
back
yeah.
and actually tally up the answers.
Yeah, I want.
do
Yeah,
what I
Some
don't have the
sponsors
time.
on board.
Yeah, exactly.
Get-
when they're
get-
editing the
get yourself an
videos and
intern.
someone gives an answer, I want like whatever answer it is. I either want your face, Justin, to come up with the fucking a little tinger, or my face to come up with a little tinger, and it
Yeah.
adds to the tally.
My head turns into a horse, or your head turns into a duck. One of the two.
Yeah.
But look at the power. We know the power of filters now after seeing
Yeah,
this
after seeing
absolutely
Peter Griffin.
impeccable Peter Griffin.
Yeah, hell yeah. Snap
And the-
photo.
And the filter
love
didn't
it.
fail once the whole time either.
No, not once.
Not at all.
Mate, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
no
for
worries.
jumping on the podcast, man. That was some super interesting stories.
Yeah.
Everyone go and check out jimsurbex.com. No AU on the end of it because I put AU and didn't find it. Realized it was just .com.
That'll
So
stooge you. You got to have an ABN to get an
Yeah.
AU.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
an official. Oh, so
I
wait,
know.
you need an ABN to get an AU, do you?
Yeah, you do.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, fake ABNs, but yeah.
yeah. Fucking hell.
Register
Well,
that
there you go.
tomorrow.
So you're Jim's Urbex across all
Yes.
platforms, aren't you?
Jim Urbex, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, jimsurbex.com for my website. I'm most active on Instagram, probably, if you want to hit me up.
Yeah.
But also, I'll reply on fucking TikTok, or if you want to send an email through my website. And also, I have a podcast, the Belly Cave podcast.
Belly Cave.
Mhm.
Fuck yeah.
With two other Melbourne urban explorers. One of them likes to shit in interesting places, like abandoned power plants
Fuck's
and
sake.
fucking abandoned escape rooms. And another one likes to literally cake the whole world in stickers. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's where your sticker obsession came from. is it?
exactly. He's much more of a beast on the stickers than I am. But yeah, check that out. The Belly Cave podcast.
Belly Cave World.
and
That's
we literally just talk shit. So if you're hoping about exploring chat, that's not going to happen.
it's
Oh,
just,
right,
it's just,
okay,
it's just
it's
pure
just a-
Yeah.
sticker bombing and shit talking.
That's right. That's
Beautiful.
right. Yeah, I think we ran out of exploring stuff on the first couple of
Yeah,
episodes.
Yeah, you're like,
so,
all right, we're just going to talk about fucking whatever. Beautiful.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we'll link our stuff, link your stuff on the page when we drop this episode as well. And yeah, thank you so much, man. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we'll catch up again down the line with some more stories.
Yeah, it's been a good chat,
We'll,
boys. Thank you.
we'll get you down in person and you can wear a real Peter Griffin mask.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, one of those full head latex ones.
yeah. We'll get you to
That'd
wear
be
one of those.
wicked.
We'll do an in-person episode next time.
Love it. Well, Jim, thank you very much,
Beautiful.
mate. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Peace out.